Hello, happy Friday. I hope everyone is doing well. I had way too good of a nap that I did not want to get out of, and I need to clean my desk again. Again. God damn it, can't read. I hate the notifications. We are doing I am doing some streaming related software tests that you guys can only see some of it. Some of it is not visible, and depending on how this goes, you may hear about it or you don't. I am trying to make it so it's more streamlined with custom software. Because some of the features people want me to pay for is too expensive because they are money grabbing people. Like I am, I guess. I don't know. Yeah, so I may ask some software related questions during the stream. If anyone has any experience with Twitch API, YouTube API, it would be... I wouldn't mind talking to you, let me put it this way. I do myself have some experience with it and stuff like that, but it never hurts to talk to other people. We're just slowly watching me walking like a month ago. I need to go out walk more. I bought a whole fucking recording setup for it because I was like, hey, I can go out for my walks and we can do live streams and we can talk together. And well, let me put it this way, I haven't walked that much as I thought I would. I did like do some test recording. This is like the best quality I can come up with ish. For the action cam that I bought because I needed... I was thinking about getting that pocket thingy, but it's not like waterproof and stuff like that, and we do have a lot of weird weather here in Denmark, so I kind of want something that's waterproof. I have unlimited data, so I can live stream on my phone and whatnot, but this Sunday I'm going for another test walk down to the beach that will be recorded. It's like an amazing, beautiful path in the forest. Like what you see right now is like in spring, before spring, so there's not that much vegetation. But when it blooms out, it's actually right after the bit that you see here where I turn right. If you continue, you get out to like a road that crosses, basically split the forest in two, and you get into the big forest. And there's a hunter cabin in there and stuff like that. And you can walk all the way like with a really, really beautiful path down to the beach. And it's part of the beach. There's almost nobody never there. They go for that forest walk a lot. It's on Commando and all these Stavia, what the fuck it's called. It's a really, really well traveled running path. But when you go down to like it's a hideout, I think, not a hideout, but a lookout kind of thing. And if you just go down one path, you're like 2 minutes from the beach, and then you just go down a little hump. And there's a bench there, and almost nobody goes there because it's so far away from everything. It's like 20 minutes on foot from town, from the neighbor's like candy shop or what you will call it. So that means that it's not ruined by visitors. You know, like there's not garbage all over the place and people have ruined it and stuff like that. And you can go when you... Again, I will show that in that video. And I don't know if I will probably not upload it on this one here. Hello, George. I will probably show it here like I do here in before a live stream. and then upload it either on one of my other channels. But you can go two ways when you go down to the sandy beach, and so really from Danish standard, really beautiful streets. Denmark, in Denmark. So you can go left or you can go right. If you go right, you basically go down to all the spots where the popular bathings and all that shit goes on. And if you go left, you just go further down the beach where there's less and less people go that way, because, like I said, it's like 30 minutes away from the popular places. And it just becomes more untainted by humans, and it just becomes more and more nice go that way. So my plan is that this Sunday morning at like 9 o'clock, I will record that path that basically ends or starts where this one ends. After you go over a road, not the road you see, but you have to continue like 5 minutes bear turn, like instead of turn right. If you continue straight ahead, you go for 5 minutes, you pass a road, and then that runner path starts. Like, it's one of the most beautiful runner paths in Denmark. Should I move to Denmark? No. I can explain in a little bit here. Why not? But like I said, I will. It's like a good 30-minute walk. I will say about 30 minutes, 20 to 30 minutes, depending on how you soak up nature. If you really want to experience it, you can probably stretch it out longer before you're at that little spot at the beach. And one of my plans is that maybe next month, when it's really summertime here, I will take my laptop with me, because you can actually sit, like I said, there's a bench down there, and I will do a live stream from the beach, where we could do it like one of these here tech live streams from the beach. I thought that could be really nice, where I can turn the action cam towards the ocean, and then it can be up in the corner or something like that, and we can do what we do right now. Or at least at the beginning, just show you the ocean and don't have my drawing pad with me. And we can try and see how live streaming from my phone works for like an hour and 2 hours, maybe next month. But I first want to go for the walk. And like go the pass to see how is it still the same. I haven't been there for like a year, so I want to see, have people ruin it or have they not ruined it and stuff like that. Also, let me know with volumes if you need something up or down or stuff like that. So yeah, there will probably be an interlude where you see my practice walk, and then I will go, like I said, I will do like a live stream where we can just sit and talk, and you guys can look at the ocean, maybe walk a little bit underneath past the beach, and then maybe next time go down to the beach and then do like a proper video like what we do right now and see how that works out. Because I want to do more. I want to show more of Denmark to begin with, like traveling kind of thing, but with a software-specific focus. So it is a little hint to what I want to kind of do. You see all of these travel channels, but they don't talk about much about their gear. What is the tech they use? How are they doing it? They don't talk about what works and don't work. Because a lot of people, like, they go on vacation and they wonder, can I use my phone? Is it good enough to take vacation pictures? Do I need a DSLR? What if I want to record a little bit? Do I need the latest and greatest, like a GoPro or stuff like that? Or can I do it with my phone? And if I do it with my phone, how is it to take family pictures? And, help people out with that vacation tech. Because a lot of people, there's not a lot of information about. The only thing is, like, if you want to live stream, you have to buy like a $2,000 fucking backpack. I can live stream right now for about $300 with the bag and the tech that you need. If you reuse some old tech, that like an old laptop and stuff like that. And every time I see people do these travel IRL logs, a lot of them it's super unnecessarily expensive. So I want to see, like, make a little tech tips about what can we actually get away with. Is this like 2 generation old phone, 3 generation old action cam? Does that still produce good pictures in today's, if you want to record and stuff like that? And hey, Scooby. So that's a little bit of my goal, that I want to do that, like, mix, because I need to get out more and walk more. So mix traveling or IRL with tech. You know, what actually works. And do you need... Because the thing with creators that have the money to do these elaborate travel stuff, a lot of the time, just like with the tech YouTubers, they get used to getting the latest and greatest and can afford the expensive stuff, so they think they need it. They get out of touch with the, you know, you and me that can't barely afford a fucking graphic card nowadays. So for them it's like a no-brainer. Oh, 590? Yeah, no, it's no problem, Bobby. Just put it in, man. Yeah, it's a little bit expensive, but you can do, you know, like, and that's really, 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 really a problem in anything that has to do with lifestyle. I see on YouTube and live streaming and stuff like that. They have a great production value, don't get me wrong, but they also use equipment that costs like hundreds of thousands of dollars. You know, and we can't afford that. Normal people can't afford that, but normal people want to get, you know, they want to go on vacation and they want to capture or go on a trip and they want to capture that experience. So my idea is like, how low can you go to get a really, really good outcome? Like, how can you capture this experience where it's super good but not super expensive, if you get what I'm coming at? So that's why I do these test walk and I test I've done some with phones, which is really good, but it's just a little bit unhandy to walk around with your phone. So I bought like a 2-gen old action cam on Amazon, like a DJI Osmo 4, what it's called, which is what you see now. And I need to fine-tune that, of course, and I bought their mic set I need to test on a live stream. But yeah, I didn't use a lot of fucking money. So I want to see if it's something people want to see, like how we can mix like the real life experience with tech and what makes sense in tech, you know. Yeah, I can walk to the Apple Store and buy the new Mac Mini. Yeah, maybe not do that. We don't have an Apple Store here. I have to travel like 4 hours or 2.5 hours to get to the nearest Apple Store. So that would be, and that's by train, by the way, not by foot. So that would be a long ass fucking walk. But yeah, I want to like, again, this is not going to be on this channel here because this is a Linux apparently channel. But I want to do where we mix in live with like tech that we actually fucking use. Instead we sit here and bitch and moan about operating systems all the time, and we fuck around with not fuck around, but we sit here and debate what coding language is the best and all that fucking shit. What about talk a little bit about stuff that real people, the majority of people actually fucking use? You know, if you look at the Linus Tech Tip, what are they all called? Bitwit, Paul's Hardware, and Jay's 2 cents. Even though they do try to relate to the common folk, they still have access to stuff we could only dream about, and they forget that a lot of the time. Not saying they're bad because of it, but it's a little bit like you watch car shows and Top Gear back in the day because you want to see the outlandish, crazy shit that they are doing. You want to see the cars you can afford. That's why they are so successful, because you're living in a dream world. They are living for you, basically. But you also, or there is also a really big market for people that actually need some stuff, you know. Do I need to buy like a 3,000 or 4,000 DSLR camera to go with me to Bahamas? And all, does it like, you know, you see all these promotion, shot on X phone, shot on iPhone. Is that really how it is in real life without having, like I said, a supporting cast of 5 people with like a lighting system for 40,000 and rigs for 10,000? Is it really that good if you just take it out of your pocket with dirt and grease and all that fucking shit and you click play or record because something happens? Or do you really need to set everything up and do RAW and do all these settings on your phone to get a good picture? It's all that stuff I want to try out. Because we are getting lied to by so many companies, and to an extension, I will not say creators lie to you, but They give people what they want to watch, and people want to watch stuff we can't get. You know, we want to live in this fantasy world. We watched Top Gear back in the day because we want to see these outlandish fucking stupid challenges that we never would do. And they are fun because we would never do it, we could never afford it. That's why they're fun. Or we want them to see test drive the newest fucking fastest car in the world because we could not get into it. But then when you need a car, you also need, you know, well, you need people that satisfy you there, but they don't. Put it all on a credit card. Yeah. We do that in Denmark also. I'll go to the comments. I just went on a little rant here. Sorry for that. I really need to move away from Eastern Europe, somewhere civilized, and where software ings make more than... Yeah, go to Asia. Southeast Asia. Because it's the same bullshit in EU and Eastern Europe and United States. Cooked, man. Fucked. Too high taxes, too much bureaucracy, too much gatekeeping, too much AI for the sake of AI. Go to Southeast Asia, go to Malaysia, Philippines, Indonesia, if you can afford it, Japan, Korea. You'll get a good salary compared to where you live. Especially, what you should do is to be like a nomad. So you should move there because it's inexpensive to work and operate there, but you should work for Western companies or Western clients. So they pay you Western salaries, and then you can live like a king and do almost no work. That's what a lot of expats do. But yeah, you can operate in Europe. Look at it this way. If you think AI fatigue is a thing, just go into the corporate world in Europe or America. The decision makers, they can't make a cup of coffee without talking about AI coffee beans and AI coffee machines and AI this and that. It's like... It's so... There's so much bullshit in AI, it's not even funny. Do you say Spain or Japan? I don't know what that is, Japan. Oh, you're in Japan. Oh, nice. I wish I could live in Japan, man. I wish I had the money to live there. Even when I was a kid, I was dreaming about moving to Japan or, you know, stuff like that down there or over there. But I never wanted to live in the big city. I want to live like 30-40 minutes away from a big city. By train. So I still got to experience the non-westernized Japanese culture. But if I wanted a little bit of westernization or creature comfort from my home, you know, like from what we used to here, then I can go to one of the big cities. That's always been my dream. The same with like Malaysia. So Kuala Lumpur, like live a little bit outside that, for example, or Jakarta and stuff like that. Vietnam is an up-and-coming traveling for expats also. And Cambodia, I think, is also getting up there. And they are all of these area, basically Asia in general. I know Japan has a really hard working environment. That's why you should work for a Western company. But their culture is so much more centered around humans. And not... Again, Japan is a little bit mix of both. But family is still a thing, you know. Guys and girls, it's not about how many nuts in the belt you can get. It's a little bit more traditional, you will call it, if you lived in Europe or the States. They are way more traditional in all aspects of it. And they also are not as much into hype in general as they are in the Western world. They do a lot of advertisement stuff like that, but they don't... Like I said, like I watch a lot of like Southeast Asian and Asian in general Twitch streamers and YouTube stuff like that, and they barely talk about all of the fucking shit we said. Like, you rarely hear them debate operating systems. It's all about getting shit done. and use the best tool for the job and all of these things. Hey, Cody. Yeah, Cody I couldn't read for a second there. So, if you want to get to a place on how Europe and the States used to be like 20 years ago, maybe 30 years ago, Asia, Southeast Asia is the place to go. It still feels like it's humans first and not big corporations, even though there are places that if you go to the big cities, it become more, business-like. And also the society in general just treat you better. They just treat you better. And you feel you get something from your taxes. I thought I lived in a clean country until I start watching Japanese YouTubers walk around. Or Japanese Twitch streamers. Or people from Southeast Asia. It makes Denmark look like a fucking garbage dump. And if you go to like other places, because Scandinavia is known for being clean in Europe compared to anyone else in Europe. So, and anyone else in Europe is clean compared to America. So it's just like you go from what you thought was clean to garbage dump, and then you go and see all these Asian places that like they actually take care of the environment, I just had a massive refresh in my app. That was interesting. Yeah, I'm doing well. I'm testing some software, and my app just refreshed everything. It was really interesting to see for some weird reason. I don't know if it crashed or what it did, but so I'm testing some overlays and some apps and stuff like that in the background. You can't see what I'm testing in the background. I need to, you may or may not hear about that in the future. PowerShell, Python, Bash. Or Python is like... I do like Python, but... it's... yeah. Just do the American. Japan is a lot cheaper than you. I do know that. I do know it's cheaper. I do know that. I do not know that. Japan is a small island here, government, by the way. Okay, I will look that up. Yeah, I do know that if you get outside of like Osaka, Tokyo, Sendai, and all these big Sapporo and all these big places, it gets super cheap. I know that. And that's why I'm still thinking about it. Like, it's not out of my mind, and that's also why I want to live outside of these places, the main cities. Yeah, that's cool, Lamer. That's cool. Like I said, this is just me testing some software that I built doing this week. This is the main focus of it, and then just because I can't really, it's not interesting to talk about the software that I made. You can see I made some overlays, but these are really simple right now. So I need something to talk about. So we're going to talk about Windows K2, and Linux is still under fucking 3% of the market share, which is really, really interesting with all the hate Windows have lately. So I'm going to piss off some Linux YouTubers or some Linux viewers. It's funny because up till a live stream, I lose like 30 subscribers, and then doing a live stream or after a live stream, they all come back again. I don't know if the YouTube sub count is fucked up. It don't matter because subs don't matter anymore. But yeah, it's like every time I play a live stream, I just see subscriber counts go down. Like, the longer, like, if I do it like a day or two out, and see for like a day or two, it just gets massively unsubbed and then kind of equalize itself after that. It just shows how pissy people are on the internet about a different of opinion. But yeah, I think like you can see my local time right now on the stream. So I think I will go into like Windows K2 like when we reach like 30 minutes after 5. Oh, that reminds me, I forgot to fucking... I'm also testing doing localized recording while streaming to see how that taxes out my... if that gives me stuttering and stuff like that. I just forgot to hit the fucking record button, to be honest. My graphic card should have a 570, and it should handle it with the encoders. But again, let me know if things starts to chop up or anything like that. Oh, I looked at RAM prices because I have 64 gig of RAM, and I'm debating on if I should sell 32 gigs of them because, yeah, in Denmark, if I want to buy the RAM set I have, it's almost it's like almost $1,500 fucking dollars. It's it's a lot of money, peeps. It's a lot of money for not. And I looked at luckily enough, SSDs is only like about double the price of what they used to. And SSDs used to be somewhat cheap in Denmark. So I don't mind. I mind it, but I can live with the Danish SSD prices, if that makes sense. If that makes sense, okay? I can't live with the fucking RAM prices right now. Because I have an AMD system now, and I kind of want to move over to Intel. Because Intel is just better for productivity, and I do a lot of productivity. More than gaming. And I have the money to do it. And I can use the same RAM modules, but I wanted faster SSDs. And I'm like, yeah, no, I'm waiting till all this fucking bullshit is going down. But I will say this. Give it 1 more year to 2 more years and the prices will stabilize. And that is because a lot of the AI stuff is starting to not return the investment that they thought it would. They are not hitting the targets that they promised, and it's not just open, it's all of them. People are not using AI as much as they used to, and a lot of people are starting to be developer first versus AI first now, because they found out there's so much stupidness with it, and people have realized that, we talked about this in another live stream, that it's a circle. Money is just being pushed around. So Nvidia, let's call them N, they promised to spend $1 billion to OpenAI. That then promise to buy 1 billion of Nvidia equipment. And this is Intel, Oracle, Microsoft, AMD. They all do this. They invest in another company that then promise that money will be spent back on the company. I hope this makes sense for you, because this is like really fucking stupid. So they all say, we are going to invest so many million dollars into AI. But what they're not telling people, what they're realizing now, is that we are investing this much money because the company that we're investing it in is going to spend those money on us. So basically, they could just have given them the service or hardware for free and kept the money. But it don't, for financial reasons, hype reason, all of that shit, it just looks like something is happening with AI. It looks like there's a lot of money in AI because companies are spending so many money. And it's not just the big ones, it's also smaller ones that, like, if we invest so much in you invest so much in us, so money's just going in circles. So they're not really making money. And this is what's happening right now. They're not hitting the money target. So who is going to pay for all of that fucking shit? You are. That's why there's becoming ads in AI now. That's why tokens are going up and up and up and up. There are companies spending way more. It's becoming hip now. This is the trend on not Instagram, LinkedIn and stuff like that, is that to be a good AI company, you have to spend more money on AI tokens than you do on your payroll. It's called scaling with intelligence. Who invented this? These people here. The one that gives each other money to keep the bubble alive. They are like, this is how you should look at it. So they are getting smaller companies, medium-sized companies, to spend a lot of money on token that is going up and up in price to basically finance this AI bubble that we're in. And it's unstable, of course. We cannot do that forever. Jason Wong, or what the fuck he's called, Nvidia's, the leather jacket man, he said that if his whatever department head makes $500,000 a year, if he don't spend half of his salary in tokens a year, he will fire him. It's like saying, let's say you are an electrician. If you don't spend half of your money on screwdrivers and equipment, you're getting fired. You use what is needed. That's typically how the world works. You do what is needed. But they do all of this because it then sends the incentive that everyone else should do it. You should look at it like that. So they are forcing people to use a technology, or well, not forcing, they are manipulating people into using a technology that's unsustainable, that don't really do what they promise it to do. And in a lot of cases are not really good at the play, or great or better than humans for a lot of the things that they want humans to be replaced with it at. So they do all of these things, and look at your token use, and blah, 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 and you should be using your net value in token use, and all that fucking shit. And then to make it look like that's what they are doing, they do this, that Nvidia give OpenAI money, they then give Nvidia money, then give AMD money, they then give OpenAI money, then give Nvidia money, then give Intel money, then give AMD money. So their money, of their pot of money, basically stays the same. It's just getting moved around. And what is really making it grow is that they hope that you don't see that. And they hope that companies are going to do what they tell them to do. Just spend more tokens. Spend more tokens. You know. And the use of term tokenomics, anyone remember none for... Yeah. And you may wonder, well, OpenAI, Oracle, Microsoft, AMD, Intel, Nvidia, all of these big companies that do it. It's not just them, but all these big companies do it. They are big, savvy businessmen that have made a shit ton of money in their lifetime. Why are they doing something here that more or less could be seen like a pyramid Ponzi scheme, or call it what you will? Why are they doing it? Because there's so much money to be made. They have fooled companies and governments into give them unlimited money. By them not really spending that much money. Like I said, if Nvidia spends $1 billion, well, they are promised, in quotes, to get that with $1 billion in return from OpenAI or whoever they spend it on, of their quote-unquote friends that they spend it on. So did they really spend $1 billion if, Jason, I give you $1 million if you then buy $1 million worth of my product? Did I really give you $1 million? No. And I didn't give you products for free, but what I did do is I made it look like there's a thriving business here. In hope that other people then will go and buy the product and invest into the product. So that's where the real money comes from, is that you and I, Jason, we make it look like we have a good lucrative business going on here, in hope that other people think we have, so they will then invest a lot of money into us, and then hopefully, when they've done that long enough, we will get a lucrative business going. But that's what AI is right now. It's a lot of smoke and mirrors, it's a lot of promises, it's a lot of money and promises being circled around into fooling you and me and governments into give them the money they actually need to sustain this economy. And the term circle, exactly. And people have done this in the past and gotten jail time because of it. Like investment bankers used to be like get all their friends to invest money into stocks they didn't trade. And then if let's say Llamer wanted money, I would go to Scooby and be like, I have this opportunity. Give me $100 million, and you'll get X return. And Llamer only needed $50 million, so I will take Scooby's $100 million, keep the 50 for myself, and give Llamer the other 50. This is kind of a little bit what's going on with AI. If you invest in me, I will invest in you, and then we will get the customers to pay us out. So when we need money, we just have look at tokenism, look at this, look at spending tokens, fool them into invest into us. I've said this before. I think in like 4 or 5 years, Salt Altman will be remembered at best as like the Thanos girl, the cryptocurrency guy, FT, whatever the fuck, the guy that cheated, and he will be remembered as someone that fooled the world like they did. Made a shit ton of money because he's done this before. All of his businesses has been him lying to people that bought him out, or bought his companies, or lied to his shareholders, or lied to his board of directors. He made a lot of money by being a con man, basically. And he will be remembered as one of those, like, a con man in that everyone was, like, investing. Because this happened with Thanos. This happened with... What the fuck? If FT said that cryptocurrency they were sponsoring Formula 1 teams and have, like, celebrities endorsing them and all that fucking shit. He's doing the exact same fucking thing. It's just not cryptocurrency, it's AI that he's doing it with. He probably wants the company better than they did, but there's a lot of trust me, bro, or I know better going on with him, and that's always a warning sign. And when people ask him for proof, he's like, well, you can always sell your share, you can always not be part of the revolution. He always has some snarky, condescending comment, which is, again, a red flag. And Nvidia is going on with it. Intel and AMD and Oracle and Microsoft, all of these people are going on with it because they are making a lot of money right now. They are making a lot of... We are so stupid that we are buying into it and we are spending billions on tokens and whatnot. So they are making a lot of money. But when this bubble bursts, a lot of good companies are going to lose their income. Because they put everything into one horse that was not the horse. Like, I'm not saying you should never bet on stuff, but they put all their money into one basket that, if you just know a little bit about what's going on, it's like warning sign after warning sign after warning signs. But because it's not just Sam Altman saying, trust me, bro, it's Microsoft, Nvidia, and all of these people, Oracle. It's like, but they are making millions of dollars before AI, they must know what the fuck they're doing. Yeah, they are lining their own pockets. They don't give a fuck if in 5 years your company go under because they already made the money. The people that are going to get rid of AI, it's not us. It's not the governments. It's Oracle, Microsoft, OpenAI, Anthropic, Nvidia, Intel, AMD. All of the ones that are in this little circle together here. All of these people in this little circle here together are the only one that's going to rule the world if it will burst, but these are the only one that's going to make money out of this. There may be one company here and there that will have a success story. There's always exceptions to the rule, but the vast majority of people are going to lose a shit ton of money on AI the way that it's going right now. Some may still be alive when AI equalizes and becomes useful and people figure out what is good for and not good for and how to use it and not overhype it. When the bubble bursts and everything equals out, a lot of companies would have lost a lot of money and a lot of companies would have lost their company because of it. But not the big ones. Because they know it's coming. Like, another good components for AI is Bezos. But he said publicly, at least he has somewhat of a conscience apparently. He has said publicly many times that we are on the verge of one of the biggest tech bubbles to burst in history. And he's warning people to not get too excited about this, spend too much money in it. But you rarely hear him talk about it. Or getting invited to a lot of AI talks because he has that mentality, or he say those things. Yeah, only those who sell shovels said, yeah, it's like the gold was back in the day, yeah. There were people that would find gold, but it's like under 0.0001%. Like, there will always be the exceptions. You need those outliers. It's the same with lottery. It's not a good investment to buy lottery tickets. But your psyche will say, but this dude or dudette or family just won X million dollars. Yeah, but the chances of you winning is so low. So they did the calculation. You have a higher chance to take the fastest train in Europe from the tip of Spain to the tip of Denmark, and midway you threw out a piece of paper, and that paper lands in a garbage bucket in Copenhagen. There's a higher chance that will happen than you win the EU lottery. Taking a train, throwing a piece of paper out of the window, and it will reach a garbage can, or it will land in a garbage can in Copenhagen. Like, if you could throw that long, that is. That's a higher chance that would happen than winning the EU lottery. But that's not what they say. They don't say, like, today, one family won 100 million euros, but 3 million lost. Or 50 million people lost. So you always need the outlier. So there are companies that will make a shit ton of money on AI, but they're like 1 in 1,000 or something like that. Besides the ones selling the shovels and the hardware, like you said. Exactly. Well, we should get into the whole Windows K bullshit here. K2. Why are you doing this? There you go. Oh, by the way, I will explain this one up here in a bit because it's a funny email I got. So, K2. MS to fix Windows. First of all, nah, that's how you should look at it. It's a meh thing. And again, it goes a little bit into what you see over here also, and also the other one. But K2 is Microsoft acknowledging that Windows is shit. This is not the first time, and this is not the last time they're going to do this. And are they going to try and fix Windows? Yes. So they are going to fix it. Oh, yes. But how much? They're going to fix it just enough for you to shut up your mouth. That's how much they're going to do it. Just enough for you to shut up. And there are articles out there, they looked at SteamOS, and they want to be as comparable to SteamOS. And again, I will talk about why that don't matter, why Linux is only like 3% of the market share still. With how bad Windows 11 is and all that shit. There's a lot of negativity about Windows. There's always been a lot of negativity about Windows. Look at K2. So K2 is like Windows. Was it 8.1 or 8.2? Where everyone was so fed up with Windows 8 that they a couple of years before Windows 10 came out, 10, they did the .1 or 2, I can't remember which one it was, that was like, this is our fix to Windows. That's what K2 is going to be. Sorry, I had to sneeze massively there. Think about K2's Windows 8.1 or 8.2, which one of them was like the fixing Windows 8. And the people that did I used Windows 8 from the beginning. I did like the whole Metro kind of bullshit. I used like what is it called, Stardog or whatever the fuck it was called for. But it was a great system. It was efficient. It ran great. It just like Windows 11. If you take all the AI bullshit out of Windows 11, like I again, look at my YouTube channel, I have a tool that plug and never install AI for you. Again, it plugs it on a registry level and Windows Update level. If you take all that bullshit out of Windows and the advertisement, which my ISO do, that I do every 6 months, I don't have that available, but I may do that. I don't know how Windows look at you publicizing your own ISOs. But if you make your own ISO that take away all that fucking advertisement and use my or some other people's script to plug AI, it's a really good system. It's actually a really good system. So that's basically what they're going to do. They're going to make it, or take away all of these irritations and fix some bugs and stuff like that. But this is basically just Windows 8.1 or Vista, whatever they did when or XP when they did the Service Pack 2. I think it was like the big one in the XP world, where XP, I think it was Service Pack 2, was like, that was when XP became good. This is when people remember XP. This is like when everyone say how great Windows XP was. Yeah, that was when Service Pack 2 came out. Because before that, it was worse than Windows 11, it was worse than Windows Vista, it was worse than Windows 8. Windows XP was one of the worst OSs on release that Microsoft have ever fucking made. But everyone nowadays fantasizes and glorifies it because of XP Service Pack 2. And they because Service Pack 2 was so good, they ran with it for a lot of years. So why didn't they do that up here with 8.1, 8.2, which one it was, I can't remember. Well, they kind of already have Windows 10 up and running, more or less. It was like almost good to go, or like they wanted to do a more rapid release cycle. But had there been some massive problems in releasing Windows 10, people would remember Windows 8.2 when we got the start menu back and all that shit as one of the greats. Because they would just continue improving it. And that could be, I don't know when Windows 12 or Windows Copilot or what the fuck the next version of Windows is going to be called will come out. But when we look back, there's a high chance that K2 will be like, Windows 11 was shit until K2. Typically, they will not wait like 6 years to do it. We would already have had a new Windows release by that. I think Windows 11 has been out for 6 years. But Windows 10, they sometimes they do it rapidly. I think Windows is going to be, like they said, Windows 10 was the last Windows release because they would do rolling release. But I think they're going to just spread it out more. Like, we are running the same version of Windows for more than 2. Back in the day, it was like about 2 years this time, 2 to 4 years. So K2 could be the Service Pack 2 from XP days, where when the next version of Windows comes out and stuff, that we all will be like, holy shit, Windows 11 K2 or Windows 11 Tech 2 or what you will call it. 0.2 version 2 Windows 11.2 was amazing. Because if you look at all these people that use all of these deep loaders and all these tools to take away the bullshit from Windows 11, they all say Windows 11 is an amazing system if we didn't have all of this bullshit that is holding it back. So, am I optimistic I'm in the meh group because I'm like, I'm sure they can do it because they've done it before, and I know the vast majority of people will like it, but I'm also one that have not had many problems with Windows 11 at all. But I also don't run Windows 11 like most people do because I do a lot of groundwork before I install Windows 11. Like I said, I take away all these requirements. I installed Windows 11 on computers from 2010. Not yet 10. With no problem. It's doable. They don't run super great, but it's doable. Like, I've done all of the things that you say you can't do with Windows 11. I've done that with Windows 11. With great success. But I also customize my own ISO. I use my own scripts and stuff like that to make sure that it don't fuck things up. Windows updates are still slow as balls. They say they want to fix that every fucking year, and they do get better, but I think it's an inherent design fault of the update system. They may need to do a whole new update system for that to actually make sense. And I'm sure they will make Windows 11 better because, they, like I said, they've done it before and they have the resources for it. That's what people forget about Microsoft or Windows or however you will say it, is that when they set a course, it takes years for them to change it. Because there's so many small little things that are being put in motion that they can't stop. They have to be done before they can see. It's like look at it like a battleship, you know. We have like a big, massive Harrier here, versus Linux is like a little speedboat with like an engine here. This one here can change like however the fuck it wants because there's not so many moving parts. It's a nimble little thing. Where this looks more like a fucking submarine. But Microsoft, when they do something, so many departments, developers, business deals, and things are getting set in motion that this is the crown's step, or the crown move, or the crown crowning point for something that you only see, or the customer only see like 5 years down the line. So a lot of things has to play out before they can say, now we can start moving this big thing around. Where Linux is like, you know, what is a distribution? It's an icon set. I don't like the icon set. Oh, well, we can change it in a week. You know, they don't have to do these massive, big fundamental changes like Microsoft have to do. Where other things that are depending on things staying the same for at least 2 or 3 or 4 years are in jeopardy if we do so. I hope this makes sense. So that's why Microsoft, I always laugh when people say, oh, Microsoft is dead, they don't know what they're doing, they can't adapt and stuff like that. They can. It just takes time. And when they do, they don't just do it with like half-ass. They have billions of dollars and thousands of developers behind them that no other OS or software company has. So that means that if they want to do it, they can do it better than anyone else. They just have to want to do it. Or it has to make sense for them to do it right now. Because a lot of consumer customers may be angry. A lot of tech people may be angry at Windows. But if a lot of corporate customers are not that fussy about Windows 11, which is the one paying the fucking bills, using it as a platform for their other services, well, they will satisfy us when they have satisfied their corporate customers first. And that's why, like I said, it takes like, they do stuff that then will takes years, things has to play out, and thing has to be set in motion, and then they come to us, the consumer that basically don't pay shit for Windows. We either get it for free or buy a laptop with it on, and yes, we pay maybe $10 extra for that laptop or $20 extra. But when they have satisfied all their customers that actually make sure they make a lot of money, and things they look like, and they look back at it and yes, we need to fix something. They go in. It's a little bit like the fat kid that, you know, every year on the track you get bullied, because he's always last. And then one day he decides, fuck you. And he loses all the weight during winter. And next summertime, he just fucking set the track record. But it took him like 3 or 4 years to get to the point where he said, I will fucking show you. And that is what big software companies have the potential to do. Because they have the money and the resources to say, we don't need to fix it now because we are okay with losing money for 2-3 years. But when we fix it, we also have the marketing machine behind us. We have the talented developers behind us we can utilize. And the money to get more if we need it. So we can outdo all these little hobbyists if we want to. And that's why you should always be afraid of companies like big companies, basically. Because if they really, really want to do something, they have to... I'm not saying they're going to do it, but they have the potential to outdo anyone just with sheer money, workforce, tenacity. Like, it's really... If Goliath really, really wants to squeeze you out, they will do it. They may not do it tomorrow. They may do it in 2 years' time. And that is what K2 is. It's them saying, okay, you want it fixed? We will fix it for you. And I don't think Microsoft have ever dropped the ball on any fixes to their OSs, meaning that the community and the user base complain so much that they have to do it. They've never dropped the ball there. Every time they had to do it in the 8 point whatever service pack, the same Windows Vista, I can't remember what they called it. I think they also called it a service pack back then. And now K2, all of the times Microsoft have done this, they have been successful. So why should they not be it now? Do it now. Be successful now. And that's what people tend to forget. They forget the Service Pack 2. They forget Windows Vista, whatever Service Pack that made that kind of useful. They forget about Windows 8.2 or 1 or which one when we got the start menu and all that shit back. They just magically forget about those. But all of those silenced almost every critic. There will still be people be like, yeah, it's good, great, but it's not still... There's still shortcomings, and there will be. But it was never like, what the fuck did you do? This didn't fix anything, or this didn't, live up to the... Like, they never have asked it. Maybe this is the first time that's like I said, I'm meh. Like, I'm a little bit like, let's wait and see what the fuck is actually happening, kind of thing. But that track record, what is the biggest predictor of future outcome? Past outcome. Past behavior will most of the time also dictate future behavior. People can change, and stuff can change, of course, but most of the time, look at what happens in the past, and if they're trying to do some of the same shit, that's what will be happening in the future. So they are going to do, I would say, probably a good job at it, and they will going to make the Windows 11 we all wish we had when Windows 11 came out. And then in like 2 or 3 or 4 years, we'll get whatever Windows will be called back then, if there even will be a Windows back then. So K2 is like, I'm not so, I don't, maybe it's because I've seen Service Pack 2 and 8 point and Vista and all that shit. I get why people are excited, I also get why people are skeptical. I'm just like, I've seen this before, seen it too many times. People have seen it so many times can kind of predict what it's going to be. It's going to be 8.2, it's going to be Service Pack 2. It's going to be the Windows 11 we wish we had from the beginning. And a lot of people will be happy about it. And they will then think back to like, yeah, that was when Windows 11 became good. But now we have this X Windows version to deal with. And also, historically, and this is also you also have to remember, tech people, consumers, corporate consumers have always bitched and moaned about current Windows. Before Windows 11, Windows 10 was the worst Windows release to ever exist. It's the devil's spawn. It was concocted in a fucking LSD-fueled rage by the CEO of Microsoft to ruin the world. That was how people looked at Windows 10. Until Windows 11 came about, and Windows 10 was this magical amazing OS. So current Windows bad, past Windows good. That has been universal since the inception of Windows. All the way back to Windows 8. 95 was like the first real proper highly successful Windows version. But ever since then, it's always been past Windows good, even with Windows Vista. When Windows 7 came out, a lot of people were like, yeah, this is just a little bit more optimized Vista, and we have optimized Vista now. It just looks a little bit better and stuff. There was a lot of, for a long time, Windows 7, where people were like, yeah, Windows Vista was still better. And it's because that's just how it is with the whole, how Microsoft do things and how the psychology of the community is and stuff like that. So I think this is like propped in the K2 talk. I'm going to clean off this up, and then I will show you this funny scam email that I got, because it's so fucking... It's one of those that, oh, you're going to get billed for a service I have never fucking heard about. It's an API service, I think it was. I don't know. But, yeah, you're going to be billed $400 for this for a service. And then they said, renewal advisory. Kindly avoid reaching out to your bank or card provider about this charge. They are not authorized to cancel or dispute renewals of... Oh, it's reboot. To modify or cancel your renewal, please reach us directly. This is false. Your bank and your credit card provider can always block payment. That's by law. The reason why they don't want you to go to them is because it's a scam. It's blatant, obviously, a scam, and that's why they don't want you to call or reach out to your bank or your card provider. They want you to call them instead. It is Vista Service Pack 2. It is like XP Service Pack 2 or 8.1 or 2. It is just like that. They're just calling it something different now. But yeah, like I just find it super interesting that they are now resolved to... What the fuck happened there? To post this in their scam email. And everyone know that has a credit card, bank account, that you can do this. Your bank cannot say no to this. If you tell your bank to stop paying your mortgage, they can't, or not your mortgage, your gas bill, they can't say no. And also, they are not going to get into any trouble. You are the one getting into trouble. They can say no to buy it if you don't have the money in your bank, or not buy it, pay it if you don't have the money, of course. But I just found it so funny that scammers is now like, can you please not call your bank or credit card provider to not authorize this, because they can't do it. Of course they can. That's one of the protections that you get with having a bank account and a card provider. Is that they allow you to do these things. So if I buy something that's, I will not say super expensive, but it costs a little bit of money, I will get like, especially if it's in a foreign currency, I will get a message from my bank saying, we have now reserved X amount of money to X company in X amount of currency. If this is not true, call this number and we will block it. Or if you didn't make this purchase, call this number and it will get refunded and blocked. That automatically comes from my bank. So I don't know how stupid scammers has gotten, but you have to remember, scammers are reactionary people. So why are they doing this? Well, it's because a lot of people called their bank and got it blocked. or they gave them money and found out that it was a scam, and then they got it blocked. Also, the company name is not in the email address. That's a big no-no. If the company name is not in the email address, don't never open it, never trust. Well, you can open the email, but don't click any links and stuff like that. If a web root is not in the email address, it's a scam. It's a scam. Google had a problem with this at one point because they would send out payment notification from a subsidiary. So you will get like, we have now paid you X amount of money. And the email address will not be in Google email address because they were using a third-party company to handle that for some fucking reason for a time. And they had to explain that. Because people thought they got hacked and they had taken their money instead of sending them out to you. Because they will send you an email, or back then, now it's a little bit different, but they will send you an email that you got a payment, but you will not see the money until like the next bank day or something like that. So people would be like, well, you said you sent me money, but I don't see it. Have you? And then they'd be like, oh, they must have taken it or be a scam and stuff like that. Now it says something like, you should receive a payment within like X amount of business days, you know. Hey, yeah. So yeah, scammers has gotten stupider, I guess. But yeah, I just found that really funny. That they're like, we are trying to scam you, can you please not call your bank or credit card provider? Please? I'm like, yeah, no. I think no. I would be no. You want no. And also, email scammers have gotten so easy to detect over the years, I feel like. You know. No, I got an email that was like, we're going to renew X service for $400 that I have never heard about, I never have interacted with. And it's an email address that sounds like it was made up in someone's basement by a 5-year-old. So it's people that they want you to contact them. Because, like, when you see this and you're like, oh shit, I don't have $400. I do, but most people don't have $400 to a bill like that. They need it for other things. So they hope that you will then call them and they'll be like, oh, okay, you know what? Pay us $100. And then we forget about the 400. That's how that scam works. They will then ask you to pay a lower amount. But they also tell you, don't contact your bank about us or your credit card provider because they all know that it's a scam. Yeah, please don't call and report us. Pretty please. Yeah, exactly. Well, that's what they are hoping. That is a grandma that don't read that well. But I just Google Mail. They catch they even catch fucking legit emails in the spam folder now. I almost never see a spam email in my, what is it called? Like normal folder. It's always in the, my partner's mom got scammed recently because she thought yeah, that's what they're going for, man. Yeah, that's I do see, like, so this is tech scamming. Emotional scamming, so what I call emotional scammers are people like what you're saying, like pretend to be another person, a famous person, or they pretend to want to date you and stuff, like romantic relations. Those can be a little bit difficult to see if you don't have a lot of online human experience, like dealing with people online. Especially with AI, because they can now make these like really, really good deep fakes and stuff like that. And they also scammers have gotten better at not giving too much information. That, if it's someone you're dating or think you're dating or someone that you think is another person, that is a little bit more difficult than just someone sending you a bill, That's the actual weather where I live. That's the weather at the time. But it's the weather in Copenhagen and the time where I am. So it's almost the same as where I live. The weather in Denmark is not that different from... It's kind of the same all over the place. But I just took Copenhagen because it's like just for the fun of it. Oh, yeah. I have... so I love being on Instagram for one reason. And that is that there's a lot of people trying to scam you on Instagram. And I love playing with those scammers. I love, So I play a little bit along with them, and then I catch them in their lies, and I kind of confront them, and it's just funny to see them, how they're trying to justify their lies and all that. If I'm bored, I spend weeks just fucking around with scammers on Instagram, in DMs. I lost my phone. You just posted a picture of you in a fucking four-wheeler, saying going to the coffee shop, and apparently you were selling... you're on a trip to Uganda to sell medical equipment. How are you then also on your way to Starbucks in a four-wheeler? But it's an old picture to keep my Instagram alive and all that. Yeah. I'm thinking about getting one of those, localized weather stations. They're not that expensive. But I live in an apartment. I don't know how, okay they are with me putting that outside my window and stuff like that. But I'm just using... it updates every hour. The weather, it's open weather map, I think it's called. The one where you get, a free... yeah, it's sad you don't have a balcony. That's one of what I hate about living in the apartment I live in, is that... it's a one-room apartment, and I don't even have a balcony. Sadly enough. But I have been looking a lot of the weather states, because I find it... I walk a lot. Everything I do is on foot, so shopping, whatever. So I do like having weather data on me. Because it tells me if to bring an umbrella or a waterproof bag or clothes and stuff like that, so... I do like weather data. And also, like I said, this is a software testing stream, so this is one of the pieces of software that I'm testing. I'm making my own overlays. And I want to make everything my own. So get away from Streamlabs and all of these fucking shit. And I'm also working on some streaming dashboard software kind of thing that I'm testing out right now. But yeah, the local time and weather is one of the things that I'm testing out to see if it fucks up or something that crashes and stuff like that. But it's so simple, it should not. I want No, it's okay. You can send... you can't send it in Discord. No, it's fine. I've looked at a lot of those crafts. It's I'm sure it's amazing. Yeah, Discord home. Yeah, it's just I have a lot of shit I need to do, and I will just feel bad if I tell you to send the link and I don't look at it. That's basically what it is. Because I'm building up a lot of software at the moment. Mostly around... Also making... I call it the ultimate clock. So it's a clock that has countdown, alarm, stopwatch, that is like a clock that you can use also for programming. So if you want to set, I want to program for X amount of minute, you can set alarm or timer or whatever you want to do. Because I'm tired of all the clocks on Windows don't have fucking alarm and timers. And if they do, if you have your notification sounds off, they don't work. Because you don't circumvent your notification sounds, because they're using notification sounds. And then in that, I also have like my own little weather app that I made. And that'll be built into that also. Yeah, did you notice it's increasingly difficult to see the clock seconds? It's the clock second. I think it's because. What do you mean on Windows? I haven't actually noticed that, to be honest, on Windows. Mine don't even show seconds. I think I took that off. Yeah, I think I took that off. It's not showing seconds. I took that off because, like you said, it was just weird to read. So I just took it off. But yeah, when this ultimate clock is done, that's going to be publicized on my GitHub. So it will be... I will build order, but right now it has one countdown, one alarm, and I only need to do the stopwatch and put in the weather. Then that's it. And it's done in WinUI 3 because I want to fuck around with that. And so it's basically just a clock on steroids for Windows. It basically does all the things that your clock app does on your phone. Because I'm just so tired that on Windows you need to have like a countdown or app for itself, and the Windows countdown or pedometers and all those shit, they don't work that well. Yeah, but don't trust that battery life shit. And I'm using it's a built-in Windows timer that I'm using. Yeah, I also start to use my phone for a timer and alarm clock because I use the Windows built-in one, but I have all notifications turned off because I don't want to listen to beeps and bobs and bloops, and it also turns off the fucking alarm. So the alarm will go off, but you don't hear the alarm. This one use custom sound, so you can put in whatever alarm sound you want. You just put it into a folder and call it alarm, and it will pick it up automatically. And the same with the countdown alarm sound. You just put it in a folder and call it countdown, and MP wave, it takes it out. Yeah, it does that on phones. Yeah, also my Android, I have permanently muted that also. But the alarm and countdown still goes off, yeah. And that's one thing I hated about... Linux is the same fucking shit. Linux don't have a good clock app. Linux don't have good clock apps. I don't know what's wrong with it, but they don't. So my plan here is that when I'm done doing it in WinUI and .NET 10, I may do like a Java version for Windows and Mac in it also. Mac is the only one that has a good... Mac OS has a really good like countdown, alarm, and all that shit. In macOS. That works. Windows and Linux, I don't know, the smart developers in those fields can apparently figure out how to make a proper fucking alarm and countdowners and stuff like that. But again, I worked on that mostly this week. When I have something to show, it'll be shown on my other channel. Because this one here is probably only going mostly being live stream and live stream highlights. Because there's just too much Linux bullshit involved in this channel for anything else to work on it, sadly enough. Yeah, but I do it more. So when I do stuff or code stuff, it's because I need it. I don't care much about what other people want unless they pay me for it. Or I feel generous and I do it for free for them. So when I do anything that has to do with coding, it's, at least in my spare time, of course, it's because I needed it. Or I want it, or I haven't found anything in the wild that does exactly what I want it to do. So I just build my own. Because I did for a while, years ago, where I was trying to predict what people would want like development-wise, and just built that. And nobody used it because I don't know what fucking people want. I know what I want, you know. So I start doing that instead. Yeah, I woke up. So I took a nap yesterday. My sleep schedule is fucked. I took a nap yesterday, and I woke up at like 2 p.m. or 2 a.m. And I'm like, oh, I know how to fix this issue with threading in .NET or something like that. And I was sitting in my bed and looking at my computer for like 10 minutes. And like, should I just get up and do it? Or just write down on a piece of paper, like, remember X thing? And I'm like, I should probably just write it down on a piece of paper. Then I woke up an hour later. I was like, should I do piece of paper? Yeah, I do the same. If I have something I need to fix, and I'm just like, oh shit, I have the solution now. And then I do it like in the middle of the night. But I'm getting better at just writing it down on a piece of paper, and then do it in the morning or something like that. Because it's not healthy. Well, let's get into this. And this is why I get a lot of unsubscribers, but I don't give a fuck. For all of and this goes again. This is why I thought this was in. Yeah, dude. I've done that my whole life. Also, like doing a lot of work at night where I should be sleeping. Again, this is why I thought this would be a really good companion talk to the K2 talk we just had. Is that you see a lot of these YouTube videos about people moving to Linux, gamers moving to Linux, and all that shit. April 2026, Linux had 2.99% of the desktop market share worldwide. I don't care in your household, I don't care in your apartment, I don't care in your country. We have to look at the worldwide stuff. That's the only thing that matters. And I'm using the same statistic. I have to say this all the time, but I'm sorry just to regurgitate it. I'm using the same site that Linux YouTubers use. It's StatCounter. This is the one every Linux YouTuber uses. They just filter it locally, where I filter it worldwide. So that's why you say, oh, it's 5 or 6%. Yeah, that's if you live in like some part of the States or you live in India or something like that. I look at the worldwide users because this is the most accurate that you can get. And is this accurate? Is this like 100% foolproof? No, nothing is. But this is the closest we have to good data. And since all the Linux YouTubers uses this site, I'm using it also. And you can actually see here, Windows had a tick down in like between January, February to March. And now they're starting to get traction again. It's not about popularity contests, but it's mostly because Linux channels, they want to manipulate data into favor them. That's why I'm saying this. It's like a lot of Linux channels, they misread data to make their opinion or idea seem more legit or better than everyone else. Yes, you can opt out of shit really easily. Yes, you can. And that's also why I don't have others in here and Chrome OS in here. Because in my opinion, Chrome OS is not being used as a Linux desktop for most people. Yes, it's being used in educational system for like small little projects, but it's not being used in most households. And unknown, we don't know what unknown is. It can be 100,000% FreeBSD. It can be 100,000% Windows. We don't know. That's why it's unknown. That's why it's not in the chart. And I know a lot of Linux users or Linux channels, they love to say unknown is Linux. You can make Windows look like Linux if you look from the outside in. Super easy. It can project that it's Linux. It can project that it's OS2 if it wanted to. Or there's ways you can make it project that. So I'm giving it as fair yeah, I want OS 2 also. I'm giving it as fair as whoop whoop. I love the wops. This is a little sidetrack, but I love like the Star Trek sounds in OS 2 WOP 4. They were so funny. But anyway, someone has garlic in the. Someone's doing something with garlic. Oh, smells so good. Anyway, to me, and if you have any. If you don't care who is the biggest OS, this is the best you can come at, okay? I don't care if Windows is number one or Linux is number one. That's never been my... Like, I never wanted Linux to beat Windows. I never want Windows to beat Linux. All I care about is, like, what is the data tells us. And this is what the data tells us. I can still like Linux and it's only being 1% of the market share. I used Linux when it was under 1% of the market share. And I still use Linux. I don't care. I use mostly Windows though, but I used to main Linux from 2000 2010 when almost nobody used Linux. So, why the fuck? Why is this still a thing? Why is this still a thing? Look. It stands still. It's like a bloop. If this was a patient, they would be dead. You know. So why is this still a thing? Why can Linux not get better at desktop? Well, let's move down a little bit here, I think. Let's do this. I'm thinking a little bit here because I want to make it somewhat understandable. This is not a hack. This is a... If you can remember the old IBM PCs. This is a PC. It wants an OS that our user is using. This is how you should look at an OS. It's a human translation layer. Can you get historic data back? You kinda can, but it's so if you get, I think I think 2015, 10 to 15 is where it stopped being accurate. If you go below 2010. We didn't really have anyone really tracking it before that. And also gathering that data was more difficult and not that many people use the internet. Even Windows users, Linux users, and other operating system users were not even connected to the internet. So, but the rough idea about the market share of Linux from 2000 to 2010 was about 1.5%. It was under 1%. It's about... They may think under Windows Vista that it went up quite a bit. But then it dropped down again. But you can't find any... I've seen anything from 0.1% to 6%. Steam hardware survey, Linux is 60% of the market share. I think it... Yeah, so... That's for gamers. That's why the chart that I'm looking at up here is worldwide, and it's for desktops and not just gamers. The vast majority of people that use computers don't game on said computer. I will say it again. The vast majority of people using computers are not gamers. The vast majority of people using computers are not developers. Again, that's what Linux YouTubers do. They find a localized example that will make their argument look better. The Steam hardware survey only matters to gamers. It don't matter to your grandma. Look, Cranny, you should use this OS because gamers love it. But Lily Billy, I'm not a gamer. So, we have to look at how people are using something, and we have to look at how the general public are using it. So anyone from senior citizens to infants, and anything in between there, how is the said product being used in between there? If you wanted to talk about specifically gaming, that's another talk we need to have. That's a totally different talk. Then we're not talking about desktop market share, but gaming market share. Yeah, esports people don't use, and that's I think that's more just because they're used to using Windows. But anyway, let's get back to this here. This is how you should look at computing. There's a human that use an OS to work with their computer, to get it to do whatever they want to do. The OS is a translation layer between the human and the computer. It's like if you're going to Cambodia and you have a permanent translator on your back that you don't see. You talk your native language and they speak to the native in their language, but you don't really know what's going on. You know they're there, and that's about it. That's what an OS is. It's managing user input and computer data for either the computer or for the human. So the human can interpret computer data, or the computer can interpret human behavior. That's to the extent that people care about an OS. Even gamers. They just know that one OS do things better for a gamer than other OS. So therefore they use that one thing. But in general, for the vast majority of people, they have a box that they know runs some software, they know it runs an operating system. They don't know what an operating system is, but they know it's there. So when you now know that an OS is nothing more than just what helps the computer translate to some degree, what the user is doing, so it can do what the user wanted to do, and then give that information back to the user, you now realize that the OS is, let's call it a storefront. Or delivery platform. The biggest job an OS has for the human in front of it is let me use the hardware. You know, so take human input, make it understandable for the computer or the hardware, yeah, and that the hardware then outputs something that's getting translated by the OS that is understandable for the human. So that could be, I want to play a game. The OS helps translate a lot of stuff in there, like the graphics and input and stuff like that to some degree, so the user can play the game. Without the OS, you can't play the fucking game. But also, the OS is providing a platform where you can use other software than just the OS. So games, browsers, stuff like that. And you can look at like the OS is Walmart, or the OS is a playground, and there's different swings and dollies and go-arounds and stuff like that you can then use. Well, those go-arounds and swings would not be there if there were no playground. So the OS is hosting or providing access to other software. Or like games, editing software, Netflix, browsers, all that shit. It also provides a place where you can buy stuff like Azure services and all of these, buy software that you need. So this is probably the most important thing an OS is doing for the consumer nowadays. We as nerds know that a lot of fucking advanced shit is going on behind that. Yeah, Wayland is still an overhyped piece of shit, yeah. But the OS is just the middle ground between you and the hardware that then also serve you games, software, make your peripherals work to some degree and stuff like that. It allows you to use the computer, roughly speaking. So when you think about it like this, okay, why should I move from one storefront or playground to another if the another playground or storefront don't have the things I want? It don't have the merry-go-rounds, it don't have the swings. And if it do, they are not as good. Or they are too big, or they are too irritating to get to, and stuff like that. That is the only thing people care about is this here. That's how they look at an OS. They look at a computer. A computer, like, let's take the OS out of the equation. For most people, even gamers and stuff, that a computer is just like, can I do what I want to do with the things I want to use on this machine? They don't sit and say, this is a piece of hardware that uses electricity to do all kind of magical shit that then need an OS between me and it so we can talk with each other on a higher level and more complicated intricacies. And I also need an OS to help me go on the internet and use software and produce music or play games or do online banking. That's not what they're thinking. They're like, can I use this laptop or can I use this desktop to do online banking? Can it play my games I want to play? Computer. Can it run the games I want to play? Do I need to upgrade the graphic card or whatever? That's how people look at computing. That's also why a lot of people are moving over to tablets and phones, because what they do on a computing device, a phone and a tablet can do for them. That takes less space, that is more portable, and has, a great battery life. So, we have to understand this. Because if you understand this, that for the vast majority of people, a computer with an OS is nothing more than a delivery platform for them to do the things that they need to do on said device, the OS debate becomes useless for them. Yeah, I had a lot of issues. I should make a video about the Cosmic Desktop and how many problems I had with it, but I don't want to deal much with the Linux community. But that's because Linus Tech Tip is one of those people. He know a lot about computers and software and all that shit, but in the end, he just want the same shit as your grandma. Can I do the thing I want to do in the most easy, convenient way possible? And can I use the things I want to use? I use this a lot. It's like, if you want Air Jordans, you don't want a copy. You don't want like a Chinese knockoff. You want the original Air Jordans. No matter how good the Chinese knockoff is. If people want a specific game, a specific software, alternatives don't matter. If people want to play Minecraft, they don't play the thousands of Minecraft clones. They play Minecraft. And that's the biggest reason why Linux is only 3% of the market still. It's because the Linux desktop world still don't understand that it's not so much the OS that people cares about. It's what does it do for me? If you want the biggest compatibility from anything peripherals to software, Windows and Mac OS is king. Windows probably more than Mac OS. Mac OS is between Windows and Linux. It can do most of what Linux can do and most of what Windows can do. But not all what Windows can do and not all what Linux can do. So for the vast majority of people, even tech people, even clever people, developers, gamers, what device with what OS provide what I needed to do the best? Can I play the game I want to play? Oh, I really want to play Battlefield, but I can't on the link, so I'm playing this obscure online game there's only 2 fucking other people in the world playing. Of course they're not going to do that. I really, really need Photoshop. Am I going to spend hours getting it to work under Linux or using GIMP when GIMP don't do what I need it to do? There's things that Photoshop do that GIMP don't do. And I need those. Then you're not going to use GIMP. No matter how free and good and open it is, it don't fucking matter. It don't matter. But the Linux community, the Linux developers think it does. They think that the license matter more than what it can do for the human. This is a problem we had back in the day with privacy. We still have to this day. Where in the 90s and noughts, people yelling and screaming at people with all these social medias coming up and all these websites where you had to log in and give data. And it was like, you were giving away too much for using this thing that does make your life more convenient. It may entertain you a little bit more. It may make your life easier, but you're giving up so much. And people still fucking did it because they didn't care so much. They still don't care much about privacy if it makes my life better and more convenient. And it's the same with licenses, OSs, it's the same with, this is what I kind of hate when a new graphic card or CPU cycle get launched, is that you get all these fanboys sitting around and debating about 5 FPSs. 5 watts more or less. But getting those 5 more XPS, we're talking about spending hundreds of more dollars. Yes, the AMD meta is a really good example. I have an AMD, I love my AMD, but it's hindering in a lot of fucking creative and productive tasks. It's great for gaming. That's why I looked into upgrading here until I saw the RAM prices. Well, I can still use the same RAM, but my plan is either upgrade or I get a new graphic card. It's one of those two things. And I kind of want to go Intel, because Intel is better for productivity. It just is. But if you also game, you're losing 5 frames. Yeah, but how much do you game? Do you game 8 hours a day, or are you using productivity software 8 hours a day? That's how you should look at it. So every time we see all these, in the end, AMD, Intel, AMD, Nvidia, Asus, Gigabyte, all of that fucking shit don't matter. It's like using X screwdriver brand versus X screwdriver brand to take out a screw. If you want one thing for one reason or another, it can be that you are there are brands I am loyal to, that I will buy over other brands because I have a good history with them. But in the end, if the thing you buy gives you the experience you want, that's the thing you buy. If the thing provides the experience you want, that's the thing you use. And different people have different requirements for their experiences. Some are willing to go down in that safety, keeping the gaming aspect here. Some are willing to save money on a graphic card for lower fidelity. Like, they are willing to play a game that don't look that well, but still get good frame rates. Then there are people that are willing to sacrifice frame rates for looks. Then there are people that want both looks and frame rates. And that's why we have different tiers of graphic cards. And each and every camera say, you're stupid to pay so much for a graphic card, you're stupid to pay so much or so little for a graphic card, when you can pay a little bit more and you get the best of both worlds, but they don't care about that. And that is the problem that Linux people have. Mostly Linux people. So this is Linux Joe here. They think they're the center of the universe. Oh, I can do it. It works on my machine. I didn't find it too difficult. I didn't mind. When that's what you hear when you're talking with Linux developers, like, oh, UI, UX design don't matter that much. It kind of does. It's kind of what sells your software, my friend. You know. Oh, everyone should be a tech literate or a computer literate or should be able to use the command line and do hobbyist level development. When you hear that, but that's such a big argument for why Linux is better than Windows, they have lost the plot. They are not in the same universe as everyone else is. Because that's exactly the things they care about. They don't want to do those things. We stopped using the terminal in the 60s. Oh, well, it was probably in the 80s when... Well, I will say the 80s. Let's say the 80s. When GUIs became a big thing. If GUIs are so bad, why have we spent close to 40 years living in a GUI world? If it's so bad for everyone, if the command line is the default best way to live on a computer, and tiling Windows Manager is by default the best way to live in this world, why the fuck have we not done it for over 40 years? Or close to 40 years, sorry. Because it's not. It may be for you, again, may be for me, but for the vast majority of people, it's not. And that is why Linux is holding itself back. The same spewing about privacy, security. Most users don't understand tech security. If you have kids, you go to your kid or you go to your school teacher and you ask them, is biometrics on your phone, like your biometrics for your thumb or your face unlock, does that make your phone more secure? They will 100% say yes. Most of them. Here's the kicker, it's not. But they don't understand that because I can hunt you down right now and I can set my fat ass on your back and I can take your phone out of your pocket and I can force your thumb onto the thumb reader and now I have access to your phone. Cops do this all the fucking time. Okay? They do it all the fucking time. Oh, I can hunt you down, I can push you to the ground, take your phone, slap it in your face, and your face unlocks everything. Again, cops do this all the time. It's not secure if I have access to you. It's secure if your phone is in Afghanistan and you're in Bali or something like that. Then it's secure. But most people, they have their phone with them 24/7. But most people think it's secure. Just like most people think that they can have privacy online. They think they can be anonymous online. You can't. You fucking can't. But the Linux world don't understand this. And then they talk about open source or FOSS. You can see the source code. Nobody gives a fuck about that. Because the vast majority of people that are going to use computers are never going to look at source code. The vast majority of Linux people have never fucked around in source code. Other than editing a config file. And that's not even fucking around in source code, that's editing a config file. That's private software level. He edits config files, as he say himself. He's not a developer apparently anymore. He's a config file editor. Anyway, the vast majority of people don't give a fuck about that. The vast majority of Linux users can't even understand what it means to look at the source code. That's it. But that's the word that they're trying. They're trying to sell you a product that you did not ask for, and with reasons that don't matter or don't make sense to you. And on top of that, they don't understand why people still use Windows. Is Windows the best OS on earth? No. But it's a really good storefront. It's a really good delivery platform. If I can go to any shop right now, pick anything off the shelf, and there is a 99.9% chance that it will work on Windows. Out of the box. I may need to use the driver included on the fucking mini CD that they have, but it will still work on current Windows. That's what people care about. I cannot say the same on Linux. There's a lot of things. Yeah, do they work? Yeah, well, part of it work, another part of it don't. And then they're like, oh, well, you should buy things that work with Linux. Again, if people want a set of headphones, or they want a piece of software, they should not think about what OS it's on. They don't care about that. They are more willing to, like, I want this headset. They are more willing to change OS because of that headset than they are because anything else. If they really, really want that headset, or really, really want that software to play that game, that is what's going to change OS for them. I really, really want that headset with this game and it only works on Mac OS. If they really want that, they are switching to Mac OS. It's the software, the ecosystem, as you say, that the OS provide that makes people either change or don't. And different people have different tastes, different people have different requirements, and as apparently shown here, most people still think Windows gives them the best platform to do their thing. Can you make a debate that that's because Windows has established footholding in the industry? Of course you can. Can you make a debate that it's because the Windows ecosystem has more developers, more money? Of course you can. But here's another thing. The world is not fair. It never will be and never has been. The world is going to do unfair things to you, your friends, and people you love, and it's also going to do fair things. You're going to have a head start, a privilege, a easier time with some things than other people don't have. And they will have a privileged head start in some things that you won't have it in. We can never have a fair world. We are not built like... Humans are not built like that. That's just how it is. It's probably the biggest illusion ever. It's like, but that's unfair. Yeah, I get it. I know it's unfair. We all know it's unfair. But if we have to play with what's fair, for example, there's a lot of things that can't be done. There's a lot of things that will be more expensive to do. Because we have to look out for the little people. We have to look out for the ones to make it fair for everyone. That means it's going to be more expensive for you. More things are going to break. Less compatibility. Because we need to compatible with everyone. So that means that we're getting lesser product to make sure that it works on all platforms, for example. Linux has a shit ton of advantages that Windows don't have and utilizing that all the time. You can say that's unfair. But because it's benefiting Linux, people are like, yeah, well, that's okay. Kind of like, it's okay if my kids steal, but not your kids. So we need to understand that an OS is nothing more than a delivery platform at best. It's a translation and a delivery platform. And we should strive to fairness, but it will never happen. As long as people don't do illegal shit and companies don't do illegal shit, that's the best we can strive for. Play within the laws. And sometimes the laws are fucked up also. Honestly. Let's be honest here. They are fucked up. But again, there is no perfect world. Another thing I see with a lot of Linux developers and Linux users is that they live in this fantasy world that if only this and if and if and if and if. If I was slimmer, if I was more handsome, if I had a bigger dick, I probably had more girlfriends. And I can sit here and be angry and yell and scream at my parents for giving me the genetic lottery that they gave me. If I was not autistic, I would probably have a bigger channel on YouTube. And if I had a prettier face and big titties, I would have a bigger channel on YouTube. And if and if and if and if. You can't do anything with ifs. Like, you can work towards them become a reality. But until they are reality, they're just if. And if don't matter. If I had a lot of money, if I was smarter, if I was running Microsoft, if I, well, either you try and do those things or you shut your mouth. But a lot of Linux is like, if only this and if only that. And you see, like, if only we can buy Linux in stores. Linux has been able to be bought in physical stores since the noughts. At least in the EU. If only laptops got sold with Linux. You have been able to buy Windows and Linux laptops since 2010. Now, Asus is selling laptops with no OS on. You have to choose it. Lenovo have done this for years, probably over a decade now. And there's rumors that Lenovo is going to have pre-selected Linux. You know what a lot of people are going to do? They're going to select Windows. That's what this chart is showing you. Even though the Linux users, on average, got higher satisfaction. Apparently, in 2024, Lenovo tried an experiment, and Linux users were more happier with Linux on their laptops, Lenovo laptops, than Windows. But we don't know how many returns there was on Linux laptops. We don't know if they stayed with Linux or they installed Windows down the line. There's a lot of unknown here. And honestly, I don't care about what I buy most of my laptops without OS if I can. If I go on to, I bought a few Lenovo laptops and I always select no OS. Because I want my version of Windows or my version of Linux and not their version. There are Lenovo-specific software that don't work on Linux that they use to maintain and run their laptops. Unless they're thinking about converting that, but until I know now, you can't get that there. And honestly, the videos or shorts that I've seen about Lenovo do that, I have not seen any official statement from Lenovo. It's just a dude that sometimes look like, or dude or do that, or chat that do look a lot like it's AI generating saying it. To be honest. I, however, got an email this week from Asus that they're doing I can't they call it open Asus or non-Asus or something like that, where you can buy a laptop now. And here's the thing. It's not a $200 laptop. All the laptops you can buy for Lenovo that don't have an OS on, or sorry, not Lenovo, Asus that don't have an OS on it, or you have to select it. They all cost more than a MacBook Air. It's the mid-high end to high-end computers that is OS free. So how committed are they? And also, I honestly really want everyone to just let people choose their own OS, so either Linux, different distributions, give like 3 or 4 different distributions of Linux, give them Windows, or non-OS. And you will see more non-OS and more Windows being sold than Linux. Because of this chart here. People don't use Windows because it's just what comes with the computer. Some do, but most people use Windows because they need it. For work, for software-related stuff, for peripheral-related stuff. And that is what the Linux will need to understand. How the OS is made don't matter. How more stable it is out of the box don't matter. Unless it's like Windows breaks all the fucking time and can't be used. But as long as Windows is useless, we fist at the cloud. No, I'm just stating the obvious. If Lenovo laptop users want Linux over Windows, Lenovo would have sold Linux-only laptops. I'll say this again. If the world wanted Linux-only laptops over Windows, Lenovo will sell Linux-only laptops. You cannot buy a Linux-only laptop on Lenovo. You can, however, buy a Windows-only laptop on Lenovo. And you can also buy laptops where you can select what OS you want. But there is no laptop on any manufacturer's website besides the Linux specific, like, what do they call, like, what do they call the Linux laptops? I can't remember now. Tox, whatever. System 76. Those are the only one, like, really unique small companies are selling Linux-only devices. Everyone else, you either have the option for Linux or Windows, or there are Windows-only laptops. So what, again, you look at behavior. If everyone wanted only blue cars, blue and red cars, nobody will make white cars because they're not going to sell them. And if they're selling them, they are being outsold by blue cars and red cars. If Linux was really this fucking great, everyone would be using it. If everyone wanted Linux, everyone would give them Linux. It's that simple. If the consumer wants something really bad, it's in the best interest of the manufacturer to give the consumer that. Or at least give them an option. And that's what we see in the big laptop space now, is that Linux has become an option because enough people want it. But it's still not what sells the most. Because if Lenovo, HP made more money on Linux laptops, they would be only selling Linux laptops. Or all of their laptops would have the option to install Linux on them. That's not the case. That they're giving you an option, it's great. But HP, like I said, HP, Dell, and Lenovo, I don't know, I think HP was some of the first ones to actually do Linux laptops. And then Dell, or was it Dell and then HP? They've done it since 2010 or something like that. Before the Tuxbook and all of these fucking idiots, not it, but all these micro brands, or what you will call them, came out. Right now, there's a high demand of DDR5 RAM and SSDs, NVMe SSDs. Most people could live with DDR4, to be honest. Most people could. Gamers, professionals could live with DDR4. Why the fuck do they then still buy DDR5? Because they want it. Even though they could live with DDR4. Heck, they could even live on DDR3, to be honest. In a lot of instances. Again, gamers and professionals. Especially where speed is not for a lot of people, speed is not the concern, it's the capacity. But they want DDR5, it's the newest one. That's what they want. Could most people live on Linux? Yes. But they don't want to. And that's the main issue here. The Linux will need to ask itself, if it wants to get out of this like 3% market share, it has to sit down and ask some hard questions. Why do people not want to use Linux? And then, instead of blaming Windows or Microsoft, proprietary software, uneducated user base, then this should be like, okay, these are the reasons why they don't want to use Linux. Or they try Linux and go back to Windows or Mac. Let's fix it. And then do all they can to fix them. Instead of blaming and do the if, when, and but. Or blaming the user base as they do a lot. You're too stupid, it's a skill issue, blah 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 blah. The best way of Linux to get out of this hump or this stagnation is that if Linux was like, what do you want us to do? And then actually fucking do it. Like, oh, it's too difficult, it costs money, we can't do that, blah blah. Yeah, everything costs money, everything is difficult. Figure it out. Let's just pretend this was like the joke back in the day that if only Photoshop worked on Linux, everyone would be using Linux. Then the Linux world should collectively do everything they could to get Photoshop natively working on Linux. That should be the goal for developers. Whatever it took, allow proprietary software in, give free development time, whatever the fuck it is. Figure out how to do it. Because that's an investment. That when you do that, you are investing in future profits. For some reason, a lot of the Linux world, they don't understand that you have to invest a lot of time, sometimes time and money, to then get to where you want and get to the result you want, and then will give you way more money and time and user base and all that shit. You know. And Linux is not a waste of time, it's just the Linux world don't understand the rest of the world for some fucking weird reason. People said the same about gaming. If gaming became a thing on Linux, Microsoft will die. I think we can sit down and say that gaming on Linux is amazing. Gaming on Linux is as good and sometimes better than on the Windows. Why the fuck is every gamer not running Linux then? Well, there is so much other things that plays into that equation than just gaming. They want so much more out of their system. They want to use so much more other peripherals of things. They want to do so much more other things than just running games. That's why Linux works really well on a gaming handheld. It does one thing. It games. Can you use it for other things? Yes, but the main priority is gaming. That's also why it works on the Steam box and what the fuck it's called, that OctaCube that they're making. That they apparently have not released yet. That's also why Linux works well on Nintendo hardware. They've been using Linux, as far as I know, since the 90s. Because it only does gaming. That's why FreeBSD works really well for PlayStation. Only do fucking gaming. When you buy a Nintendo, a PlayStation, or a Steam Deck, most people don't expect to have a computer. Can you do that with the Steam Deck? Yes. Is it neat that you can do that? Yes. But when they buy, most people that buy those things, they buy them as a console. They buy them for gaming and nothing more. And the Linux world sells Steam Deck. Oh, but it's a computer and blah. Yeah, but people don't see it like that. They just want to fucking game. And that's it. And it's all of these things that Linux, this is what the Linux world should do. They should go ask every Windows user they can talk to, why do you use Windows? Or why do you use Mac OS? And then take a shit ton of notes. And then try to take away the things that are on that note. Okay, you want this? Let's make that. You want more of this? Let's do that. You feel there's a lack of this? Let's do that. But what I hear from distribution makers, developers, users is a lot of pointing fingers at proprietary software. Windows this and that, it's unfair, they are ruining the world, they have a monopoly, and a lot of that may be true. But you can only control yourself. Linux people can only control themselves. The Linux developers, FOSS developers, can only control themselves. So make it so people want to use their software. I have a really good example here. There is a lot of FOSS software that are being used on all platforms that are not even FOSS. Oh, I forgot to change color. This is actually a neat color. What else do we have? Is that how it's spelled, FFmpeg? Open source, FOSS projects, decades of development. Why do people use them on Mac, Windows, Linux, FreeBSD, Haiku, and so on and so on? Why do people use them on all these? It's super simple. Best at the job. VLC is the most useful video player on Earth. It can play almost any fucking thing you want to. It can stream it, it can convert it. It's a powerhouse. Oh, we forgot Audacity. OBS, one of the best streaming software, local recording software on Earth. FFmpeg, the technology behind a lot of these things, is one of the best. Audacity, the best low entry level to medium, intermediate level audio processing suites. So for people that want an entry level, intermediate audio processing suite, Audacity is the king. You don't. Had it been paid, not paid, open closed, whoever give, it's the best. OBS, you want to live stream and record locally. Most people use OBS or they use Streamlabs. That's a fork of OBS. Because it's the fucking best. VLC, you want a really good video player that can play every fucking thing. You don't get better than VLC. There are more prettier ones, there are more resource-friendly ones, etc. But VLC is the one. Back when I started content creation in 2010, I got recommended VLC, OBS, and Audacity. If you watch a YouTube video about how to start content creation, even to this day, what if some of the minimum requirement, besides of microphones and stuff like that, but what is the minimum, one of the minimum software requirements, besides video editing software, of course, that you need for live streaming and content creation? There will not be a video without OBS, Audacity, to some degree VLC, if you want to like remix or playback or extract audio and stuff like that. But these two here, is always in the consideration. Both FOSS software, open source, free to use, all that fucking shit. Most don't even mention that. Because that's not the most important thing about them. Why people want to use OBS is not because it's FOSS. The same with Audacity. It's because it does exactly what those kind of people need. I spent hundreds, if not thousands of hours watching YouTube videos on what to use and all. And I went all the way from pirating software to using FOSS software. And everyone was recommending these things here. And then if you want to step it up and be more professional, you could use like, what the fuck is the Adobe one called? I can't remember what it's called. And you know, you get this video editing software that costs $10,000 to use, and Adobe Suite this and that, and we all used, what is it called? Sony Vegas and all. We all fucking cracked versions of that out of the high heaven. And we all ended up just using a free video editor like DaVinci Resolve and stuff like that, OBS and Audacity. Because that's all we need. If you are a Hollywood production suite, well, maybe OBS and Audacity is not cutting it out for you. And almost never were the talking point, oh, you should use these things because it's FOSS. It was because these are the best. It was also never, oh, it's because they don't cost money. Because like I said, what did we do? We use Sony Vegas that cost hundreds of dollars to use. We use them for quote-unquote free. We would be using the whole Adobe suite in quote-unquote for free. Until we figured out that they were not what we needed as content creators. We don't need them. We could get away with these things here. And then it ended up only be Photoshop that people paid for. Or cracked. Because they needed that for thumbnails and whatnot. It was because they were the best tool for the job at hand. How much they cost? Second nature. The license? Second nature. And the Linux world needs to understand this. Because right now, Linux biggest selling point is it don't cost money and you can see the source code. Which most people don't give a fuck about. Because again, if a consumer really, really wants something, they either get it legitimately or non-legitimately, depending on their balls. If they really, really need and want something, they will get it. A lot of people say, oh, the reason why a lot of people still use Windows is because they don't know how to install Linux. When Windows Vista came out, I made so much money on installing Linux and well, mostly non-Linux, but Windows XP on Vista computers. People know that if they don't want something, they know that there are better options out there because they go to the water cooler and they talk with their friends, so they know a nerd, you know. I just bought this thing. It don't do what I wanted to do. What can I do? And then the nerd will give them options or even help them fix it like I did. So people may not know about Linux, but they know they don't like what they have. And they know that they can ask questions to get it better. Because they know what they had before. So they're like, why is this not like before? How can I get it to be like it was before? And they ask questions and people help them out. They don't know that they don't like this OS. They just know they don't like what they have. Or they're like, oh, my computer is slow. What can I do? They don't know if it's the CPU, the RAM, the graphic card. They just ask a nerd, why is this like... And then the nerd use what they typically find best. So they're basically using the nerd's specifications. What they prefer. There There are people that can barely turn on a computer, that are content creators, that are using OBS Audacity. And if you ask them why, they're like, oh, I got it recommended by someone that is bigger than me or someone that know more about this than me. Not because it's fuss, not because it's free. Recommendation. And why did it get recommended? Because it's fucking good. They are good programs. They are really good programs. So in the end, what Linux needs to do, it's super simple. Make better programs. Make better programs. Make programs people want to use. Just like VLC, just like OBS, just like Audacity, FFmpeg, and I could go on and on and on. Make stuff people actually want to use. And here's another thing. You have to support Windows. Because that's how you get the biggest user base for your software. Which means that if you make great software, you will have a higher chance of continue to be able to make great software. Because the bigger the user base, the more donators that are there, the more people that are willing to help out. It's not uncommon to have the understanding or to know that a lot of FOSS software only exists because of paid Windows users or people on proprietary software putting development effort or money into the software more than the FOSS world does, the Linux world does. That's it. But in the end, if Linux wants to take out Windows, it has to make stuff people want to use. Not because it's FOSS, not because it's Linux, not because it's this or this. Make things people want to use. Then you can get into the debate or educate them about why it's so good or why it's FOSS and blah blah blah. They still won't fucking give a shit. But you can't sit there and be a watchmaker and be like, but I made this amazing, beautiful watch with like unique little crystals and purely handmade by merchants in Caribbean island, but I only sell 5 a month because it costs $10,000. Well, you made a product nobody really wants then. And that's what's happening in the Linux world. They like, as great as Linux is, it's not a product that most people want. It's that simple. No, Linux was not made to take on Windows. It was made because it couldn't afford a Unix system. With this K2 stuff, Microsoft's going to make the Windows 11 UI. Remember Windows XP Service Pack 2, remember Windows 8.1 or 2, that's what it's going to be. It's going to be the one that you remember as, oh, that's when Windows 11 actually fucking worked. Oh, they actually made Windows 11 good again. That's what they're doing. They're going to fix Windows, basically. And they've done this before, and every time they've done it, they've been successful. So why should they not be it now? Do it now. But then again, I have had a talk about that in the beginning. But yeah, if Linux really wants to take out other software, it just has to make better software. Or let me put it another way. It don't have to be better. It just have to give people stuff they want and need that other don't give them. And that can be give them stuff that they want and need for free. Before OBS there was XSplit. It was like the default standard for live streaming. It cost money. And a lot of people used OBS because it was free. But it was also really good. And then OBS started to become better than XSplit. And now nobody really knows what the fuck XSplit is. I think it's still alive. I don't know if it's still around. I don't know. Last time I looked, XSplit was donating or sponsoring OBS and must be alive. But I think XSplit has become more of a... It's tailored to more like production studios, professional production studios and stuff like that. But most live streamers are not running a professional production studio. It's a little... They make a lot of money, have a lot of followers, but it's not like... They don't have like a production studio behind them and multiple outlets they have to support and all of that fucking shit. Even though some of the bigger ones do it nowadays. But, yeah, like... Make software that do the things people want. Not what you think they want, but what they want. Listen, this is what, like... Why do Microsoft do K2? Why do Microsoft do K2? Because they actually fucking listen to the consumers. A lot of people think Apple and Microsoft don't listen. Again, I talked about that in the beginning of the stream. They do listen, it just takes a long time for them to adjust the direction of all the things going on. If no company listened to the consumer, they would not exist. Look at GNOME. How many distributions are shipping vanilla GNOME? Almost no one. The vast majority out there are shipping a modified version of GNOME. The GNOME developers still think that they know better. If you made a product and you were like 80% of our user base are not using vanilla product, they are modifying it, we are probably doing something wrong here. I know there are some out there that like vanilla GNOME. Vanilla GNOME is not too bad nowadays, but it's not for most people. And the only reason why GNOME is so popular is because of Fedora, Ubuntu, and Debian. That it's an upset, and in some cases the default, but only Fedora ships, I think, vanilla GNOME. If they even do that. Cinnamon responds to GNOME. Cosmic responds to GNOME. Mate responds to GNOME. Bocce responds to GNOME. Why is vanilla GNOME not that popular? Because the developers don't fucking listen to their users. That's why. They take shit away they want. So the user base have to add it back in. Had Ubuntu not been the biggest Linux distribution on Earth and using a modified version of GNOME, that project would probably have been dead now. Look at KDE. One of KDE's biggest thing is that they do almost everything the user base wants, to a fault sometimes. But KDE, for the most part, has always been received positively. Sometimes it's like too unstable, sometimes it's too complicated, but they still fucking use it, they still like it. They still talk positive about it. Every time you talk about GNOME, it's always, oh, I have to do this, I don't do that, I have to add this to get it to work. But if I run GNOME with all of my extension, it runs great, but it takes up a shit ton of resources. And then the GNOME developers are in this delusional aspect that, oh, well, because a lot of people use us as in a modified way, we must know what's best. No, you don't. And I would not be surprised if GNOME would die out a slow death soon. I don't see many GNOME users other than Ubuntu users. And I rarely see any vanilla GNOME users. But you also have to remember, if you look at the donation and contribution page for GNOME, Red Hat, or Canonical, Red Hat, and SUSE are the big ones. 2 of them use GNOME as default, modified, or Fedora unmodified, but I think Fedora is using a modified version of it, and Ubuntu is using a modified version of it. SUSE is sponsored because SUSE sponsors all big projects more or less, so they also because it's in their repository. But they have like a vanilla version also, but SUSE almost never... I rarely see a SUSE user using vanilla GNOME. They got too full of themselves. Sadly enough. Because GNOME 2 was amazing. GNOME 2 was the default desktop for Linux users. And then they went and fucked it up. They went and fucked it up in the most spectacular fucking way ever. And for over a decade, they have just fucking it up and pushing people up. Like, if you're pushing people into making their own desktop environment, you are fucked up. And I can see, okay, maybe 1, maybe 2. But not fucking massive companies saying no to your default version of your software. It's like... It's like 100 people are peeing them in the face, and the GNOME developers just like, oh, what a refreshing rain we have today. It's so warm and refreshing. The rain is amazing today. That's the GNOME developers' delusion. And it's just thousands of people pissing them in the face. Let's not make umbrellas because we love the fucking moist, right temperature rain that we're getting in our faces today. God damn it, man. I'm still pissed off. GNOME used to be my fucking desktop environment back in the day. It was the desktop environment for me. And they went and fucked it up. And I never forgive them for that ever since then. And it's like 16 years ago now or something like that. Everyone was using GNOME. Default GNOME with very little customization. And now it's barely GNOME anymore. It's running so many JavaScripting, unoptimized JavaScripts in the back end that making it so resource heavy and so fucking unstable that if you sneeze, your fucking desktop explode in your face. GNOME is like it's everything wrong with development nowadays. It's front-end developers that think they can do everything in HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Or everything should be done in HTML, CSS, and JavaScript because you can. And because it's easy and simple. Then forget about optimization, proper technologies for proper purposes, and... Like, one thing that I found really, really funny is that I did some Electron development a while ago, and I'm like, okay, so you have to install like 10,000 fucking tools to translate a web page into a desktop application. If you have to do so much groundwork and extra tooling to get it to do what you want it to do, you may be using the wrong technology. Maybe you're using the wrong technology here. If for you to make it, you have to Node.js and this and that and all these NPM modules and all that shit just to fucking display a web page. Maybe you're using the wrong tool for the job. But I do get it. It's easier or more convenient because everyone fucking understands HTML, everyone understands CSS, and everyone understands JavaScript if you're a developer. It's like entry-level fucking shit. And it's super easy to make universal platform because it's running in a browser, basically. And browsers support all platforms. But that's where convenient circumvent fucking bullshit. And that's why we have so many fucking security problems with Node.js and Electron and all these things. But if you need, like, I had a developer, he spent the whole day trying to set up Electron development. And he just could not get it to work for some fucking stupid reason or not. I didn't figure out why he couldn't. I just knew he was bitching and moaning. And he had to install like 3 or 4 or 5 tools just to start developing. Most of the time, it's you have 2 tools. You have the development environment and a compiler. Or you just have the development environment and an interpreter. That's it. That's proper development. But for all the modern day development, React and all that shit, you spend more time maintaining the tooling to make your programs than making programs. Because when all of the tooling is up and running, it's more universal. It's so fucking bullshit, man. And that's also why you see a lot of these security problems in these Electron apps, is because the developers don't understand back-end development that well. They all front-end developers, basically. And then they think that they don't think about security that much. They don't think about proper handling of data, and it just bites them in the ass. But when all the tooling is running and working, it is more convenient to support multiple platforms. Do Java then. It's too verbose. That's what comes with power, baby. Do Java or Python or whatever, like Rust if you want to, C++. I actually really want to start learning C++. Because Rust is just weird. I do get why they're doing Rust, but Rust is like Linux. You should do it because it's Rust, not because it's actually fixing a problem. It fixes a lot of problems, but a lot of the problems they fix, the software that they want you to run Rust in don't have those problems, if that makes sense. So the problem that they're trying to fix is not a problem in those software, because they already have handled those situations. And there just are some things Rust can't fix. Just like there's things Linux can't fix. Linux can't fix an uneducated user. And that even mean an uneducated nerd. That even mean an uneducated Linux guru. Linux can't fix the user. Software can't fix the user. But Rust is fun, though. It's a fun, it's a fun religion to study. It's a little bit like this Linux bullshit here. Like they do a lot of the same shit as the Linux world does. They just blindly trust it. Because just like Linux, Rust has some fundamental things that makes it super great for a lot of things. And then they think, well, it's because it's great for these specific things, well, then it has to be universal great for everything else. And then you see people recommending just rebasing decade-old software with millions of lines of code to Rust because it has one issue. Oh, Rust fixed that one issue. Yeah, but what about all the other things that Rust then don't fix or introduce? And yeah, it's definitely an interesting project, but Rust is not going to replace C++ or C. It's going to be used in places where Rust makes more sense. Like it should. But yeah, like, I don't understand this whole Electron. Like, every time I fucking use these, like, browser-based development method, it's like, yes, Java is fucking irritating to deal with. But it works. It's so much more efficient than Electron. You know? And if you don't want to deal with the bullshittery of Java, you go Python. And if you want to be like a speed demon, go Rust or C++ or C for that matter. Or Go. Mostly for microservices and backend stuff, but Go is fucking amazing though. What the fuck was it I was looking into? I was looking into, what the fuck was it called? It was using WebView instead of Electron. It's what my app is using now that I'm using WebView instead of Electron. Because technically I'm using a lot of web pages put into one UI, and I could do that with Electron. That's why I was looking into it also a little bit. But I'm saving like 80% resources by not using Electron and using WebView. Both RAM, CPU, and package size. I think that the one I'm using now is like 24 megabytes. And if I did it in Electron, it'd be like close to a gigabyte. Plus, it takes more RAM cycles, CPU cycles, because you're running a browser, blah, 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 blah. Here I'm running native .NET 10 WebView. Which is basically what Electron is the WebView. WebView is just basically Edge. Slimmed down Edge. But you don't have you don't need Node.js and all that fucking bullshit to run it. And you can use the Nugget backend. That is one of the most mature plugin system for app development, especially on Windows. And so far, it runs super fucking stable. I don't even know how much resources I'm using. Can I see that? Let's do RAM. Yeah. I'm using 60, no, not 60. 53 megabytes. Discord running in the background, which is an Electron app. 612 megabytes. And all Discord does is serving a web page. What mine does. So, I call it dashboard, I don't know what to call it, but my app, the music you hear comes through the app. It's a web page, basically Spotify. And it's having my dashboard from YouTube in displayed, and the chat. I have like 3 or 4 tabs open, if you can call it that. And that uses less resources than if I open those tabs in a web browser. Even one tab in a web browser is like super fucking resource hungry. And it's a project that you can make, the one I made here, you can't see that of course, but everyone can make this in 5 minutes. And you are like 9% more efficient than any Electron app. I could rant about Electron forever. It's think about what is it called? Basically what it is. So under Linux you can put like a HTML. That's not how you do it. Into like an app. And then they run it as a desktop. App. That's basically just the web view or something like that. That's it. This hosts the HTML, and it makes it. They put it into like a framework. Like on Windows, it could be VPF, it could be GTK, Qt. Then you double click it, it opens a web viewer. It may be called web view or web display or whatever. But it's like think about it as a web viewing. That's why it's called web view under Windows. So I'm using WebView 2 under Windows, but It has different names, but it does the same. It runs a super streamlined version of a browser. And that's how the Peppermint do it, and all of these are said, oh, you can now run your HTML as an app. What it basically does is it puts it into a wrapper that hosts a minimalistic web browser that only displays that one side. And that's basically what I'm doing with this dashboard. And anyone that just wants to apply themselves for 5 minutes can make this. It's not that difficult. You just have to know what web viewing technology is good for the OS and what front end is good for the OS. So Qt, ETK, VPF if you're on Windows, or WinUI if you're on Windows. But basically what these does, they just wrap this here. And then you build it for your OS. And that's so much more resource friendly than any Electron app or any of the other front-end based web hosting apps that a lot of people like to use. If you do it this way, you will typically have like a 50 MB size, and you'll be using like 2 and up RAM. 2 megabyte and up RAM. You can't even run like a fucking Electron app that just say hello world with these resources. With these low resources. But again, to do this, you have to do more work. Under Linux, you have to use some of these technologies, and under Windows, you have to use some of these technologies. And then you have to use the WebView technology. I think in Java they call it for JavaFX. I think they also call it WebView there, but it's called Web something. Some other call them Web Display or something like that. But all it does, it's opening up a minimalistic web browser. Way more minimalistic than Electron does. And alike. So it takes a little bit more, not much, but a little bit more work, and you do have to do OS specific stuff. Like you, when I mean OS specific, like you need the wrapper, the GTK or Qt or Java wrapper or VPF WinUI, but that's it. It's all it is just like make a project for Windows, make a project for Linux, and then just wrap the WebView into the front end and compile it. A lot of the back end can be done universal. You can use Go in the back end if you want to. Let's say you want to call up APIs and shit like that. Use Go. That works on all platforms, or Java, or Python, and then you just send data from the service to the front end. And that can be done because it's HTML, JavaScripting. Well, you just have your Go programs and data to the JavaScripting. It listens to ports, or it can start up a virtualized, small little virtualized web server. It can talk with each other about the text, no fucking data, compared to Electron. So you have a backend in one language, you have a front end in another language, and it's super simple. A little bit more advanced to do. When I mean simple, the concepts are simple, the apps are simple in size and resources. You just have to do a little bit more work and understand OS development a little bit, and mix back-end development a little bit more than if you just do Electron. Which is what most people don't want to, I guess. I don't know. It's just baffling that we live in a world where managers like convenient over security, scalability, and predictability and control. And then when they want scalability and control, they bitch and moan that they don't have it. because of the decision that they made in the beginning. But then it's not their fault, it's the technology's fault. But they choose the technology. It's a fun thing. It's like one of the reasons why I don't have a job right now. Because I mentioned that to a manager, that they were fucking up so many times. You know, don't tell a manager that they don't do their job well. Then you don't have a job anymore. Like the saying is like you can be right or you can have a job. Or you can be mediocre and get promoted. Which is another fun thing, is that if you're really good at your job, you never get promoted because they can't find anyone to do your job better than you. But if you're mediocre, they can find someone as good or better than you, and that means that they can promote you because now they're not relying on you in that position anymore. The world is a fun fucking, like... The structure of the world is promoted mediocrity. Funny enough. If you're just good enough, you can get to the top really fast and easy. And then people in the top that are just good enough will hire other people that are just good enough. It's a fun fucking... I don't know, call it paradigm, but... It's a fun... structure. Is that this word? I think it is. Structure? Yeah, structure. That people that are super good either never get anywhere because they won't replace them, they can't replace them. Or they get kicked out for doing too much, knowing too much, speaking too much, etc., etc., etc. And then later down the line they figure out that they were actually right. I've experienced that a few times in my life where they fired someone and then like 6 months later, a year later, they're like, do anyone know how this worked? Why did we stop losing efficiency? Why do we not have these customers anymore? Well, it's because you fired the fucking person that actually were good at that job, but also told you that you were not good at yours. That has happened quite a lot. And then you see the weak wimp ass idiots that just lick the boss's asshole, get promoted like fucking 5 times in 6 months. Because they just go with the flow, as they say. And then they end up being worse managers than the one they replaced because of that. Because then when the company or the boss is doing something bad, they don't say anything. And that's how you end up ruining your company. Which I also have experienced a few times in my life, seeing people do that. To the extent that they almost lost their company. Luckily enough, most people start to wake up when money becomes an issue. I had one... This was like a middle manager. It was like... We were having a conversation. He was a really bad middle manager, but he was like, we can't get this, and that. And I'm like, why? Like, well, as much money as this company makes, we have nothing in the bank. I'm like, then you're doing something wrong. Like, if you spend the money the second they come in the bank, you're doing, like, something is going wrong here. Either they did something wrong. They were maintaining another company that didn't make money. That's why we have no money in the bank, basically. Like, if you can't, I was like, well, then you should not do the things that lose your money. Then, I'm like, no, yeah, but we need to, because he was also the middle manager in that company, in both of them. Yeah, but blah, 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 blah. Like, well, you can make $1 billion a month. Look at them, OpenAI. They spend, was it like 15, 12 billion a month? But they're only making 5. They're making a shit ton of money, they're just not spending them right. Or spending too much of them. But yeah, that was a fun fucking experience where they made really good money, but it was like, because the boss don't fucking know what he's doing, it was just running out of the company left, right, and center. And the only reason this is still that company still runs is because they are making good money. And he just is not stupid enough, or that stupid that he will. I think he would if he could, but there is someone that's holding him back to say that, so he's not wasting all the money before they come in. Because I honestly think he would be the guy to do it. Spend them before they're in the bank. So I don't know if it's his wife or COO that is holding him back a little bit. And that's why it's not like, you know, running out, because I see all the traits of someone that will be. He's a trend. What is it called? Not trends. He's a hype runner, hype chaser. So every time something gets hyped up, that's what we do 100% and invest a shit ton of money into it. Or he see a YouTube video that hypes him up, and then he like spend a shit ton of money on that. One time he bought a 3D printing machine and sold it again. Without ever using it. Because he didn't have people to start using it. We were all busy. And I think he lost a great deal of money on that. He's done that stuff like that before. It's so funny to see that happening. That it's hype driving, you know, like excitement and hype driving a decision rather than calculations, information, or proper information research. Yeah. People are weird, man. People are weird. I think this is it for me. I'll go get some food. See you all later. Have a good day. Bye bye.